Good evening, everyone. It's Wiseguy Confidential coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Today's show is dedicated to the late, great Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice, jurist, icon, legend, American patriot. You see in the background here, wrong side. See in the background here, Justice Ginsburg, custom graphic we created. Custom shirts going to be coming out soon with funds going toward proceeds going to issues and interests that Justice Ginsburg cared deeply about. So tonight's topic is dedicated and with Justice Ginsburg's memory and legacy in mind. And this is about women's rights, human rights, starting off with the alleged mutilation of women's bodies in the ICE detention prisons that a whistleblower, a nurse, came forward and stated that many women had had their bodies mutilated and had hysterectomies performed on them. Unwillingly, they were basically sterilized, to put it in simple terms. And if this is true, this is something that's happened before in our country, and it's something that dates back to, it's been done to my people, to Native Americans in masses, in order to make it so that these women were no longer able to have children, to procreate. So this is not something where someone can say, oh, something like that would never happen in the United States. When it involves people that are other than white complexion, this has happened and sanctioned by the U.S. government. And it doesn't matter if it happened hundreds of years ago, believe it that it could happen now. So I don't know if this is, and there's investigations still going on. I don't see a woman's motivation, this nurse's motivation for creating such a story. It sounds more believable than not, unfortunately. And if you're a good U.S. patriot like I am, something like this should really not only anger you, disturb you, and infuriate you. And what's more infuriating, if you go into the areas of people where they claim to be pro-life, okay? And I'm using the air quotes because it is important, and it's untrue. In simple terms, it's a contradiction on many levels. The same people who will claim to be pro-life, in fact, I think more people like myself who believe in a woman's right to choose and make decisions over her own body tend to be more pro-life, truly pro-life, than people who rant and rave about protecting an embryo. The same people who will claim that they're pro-life, again, pro-life, are the same people who are completely silent about these allegations of women having their bodies mutilated and sterilizing them so they can no longer have children. Maybe it's okay, maybe it doesn't bother the people because those are brown children and they're refugees that would be born from these women, and perhaps that's the reason why all of a sudden the hardcore evangelical Bible thumpers who normally are outside of Planned Parenthood, those same people are nowhere to be found right now. The same people who have firebombed and killed doctors at Planned Parenthood are missing in action. Maybe it doesn't matter so much when those children would be born to refugee families and future brown people that we all know are not necessarily well welcomed by many individuals in many parts of this country, particularly in the deep south. So this topic is of great importance, and something I'm very passionate about, because the same people who will say that they are for the embryo are the same people who want to take away free meals for children at school. The same people who will back the current administration taking away health care for people with pre-existing conditions. The same people who will claim that they're all for the sanctity of life, yet they're the same people who complain about the homeless crisis, and they would never want homeless people in their community. Like many of us, and let's be honest, not that many people want homeless shelters or anything to do with the homeless in their community, in their own neighborhood. Everybody wants to see the problem solved. But when it comes to soup kitchens, when it comes to missions, when it comes to people lining up for food or anything of that sort, people don't want to see that. They consider it blight, an eyesore. But the very same people are saying pro-life. The same people who are against social assistance for low-income families. Those same people were polled in a survey some years ago where the questions were asked if they had ever, 1, been a foster parent, 2, ever adopted a child, 3, if they ever donated money to any organizations that help the homeless or children who are orphans. Those same people consistently answered no to all those questions. The majority of those individuals who claim so fervently to be for life are the same people who, when asked if they would be willing to have their taxes raised anywhere between 10 to 15% throughout the course of their life in order to fund orphanages, in order to fund daycare, or to fund education for children who are orphans. Because again, if you're going to force people to have children that they do not want for whatever the reason is, then the society has a responsibility to step up and take care of those children. I'm sure everyone would agree on that. Because we cannot mandate, nor should we want to mandate, for a person who doesn't want a child for whatever reason to forcibly house that child with a person who's already expressed that they don't want that child. Process that information. That's why you have so many children being abused and molested. Which goes to the next point. Men have no business mandating or codifying laws that require women to have children, that require women to answer to the government about decisions of their body. We men have no right to involve ourselves in decisions that affect a woman's health, whether it's reproductive, whether it's breast cancer, whatever the case may be, particularly when it comes to reproductive health. We men will never know what it's like to be raped and carry around a child and bear a child and possibly raise a child that's a constant reminder of being raped, of one of the moments in their life where women, essentially part of them dies. And many women, it's estimated that 1 in 3 women are victims of sexual assault of some level. If not 1 in 3, 1 in 4. And who the hell are men to tell women what to do with their bodies in the first place? I certainly don't believe I have that right, because I'll never know what it is to have that burden. Whatever the case may be, whether a woman has been told that she has a high-risk pregnancy, she may die at the time of delivery, or again, if she's been raped. And some people say incest. Well, incest is rape. Rape by a father, rape by a brother, rape by an uncle, what have you. So, realistically, we should just keep our mouth shut. Men should just keep our mouth shut when it comes to any laws involving women's reproductive health. And right now, as we speak, in parts of the South, in parts of places like Texas, and in places like Alabama, and different parts of the South in particular, more and more clinics are being closed for women's reproductive health. Clinics that cater to women, making it more and more difficult, or making it more difficult for a clinic to be licensed. so that it makes it more difficult, so a woman has to drive hundreds of miles to, if she wants to abort a pregnancy. Now, whether or not you like myself, whether or not you agree or don't agree with the abortion, that's really none of your business, because those are personal issues. And for those of you who claim it's an affront to God, for example, well, I'll remind you, maybe 30% of the population of the U.S. doesn't believe in God at all. Now, whether you're like myself and you do believe in a creator, that doesn't mean that you get to dictate what's good for anybody else and what they should believe in. Now, when you're talking about it's a life, well, if that's something that person chooses to do, and they choose to end a pregnancy, then they're going to have to answer to that. And if you believe in a divine being, that you're going to go to heaven, like many people do, or hell, then that's something that person has to deal with the creator when they got to answer to their maker. That's not your business. But what is your business is when our government invades another country on a false pretense, such as the case in Afghanistan or Iraq. Now, for the record, this has nothing to do with our troops. The troops do what they got to do, what they're ordered to do. This is talking about these tax dollars that involve your decisions of who you send into office, who makes the decisions to invade whatever country, drop bombs on innocent people and call it collateral damage. Why don't those lives matter? Why don't all the children that are in prison right now, sleeping on the floor with aluminum foil blankets, why don't those lives matter? Those lives are here now. People who are here now, children who are hungry, children who are sick, families who are living in the street. Let's deal with the people who are already here before you insist that more people have children that we're not in a position to care for. Nor does anybody want to care for them, let's be honest. So to say, oh, I believe that person should not have an abortion. Okay. Well, a lot of people didn't have abortions, like is in the case in Latin America. A lot of people don't have abortions, and you see these children that are refugees that are being treated like animals, worse than animals. And there's no activism. I mean, there's very few people, and when people do go over there and try to protest and take pictures, they're disallowed from the ICE agents. But many elected officials and missionaries, nonprofit organization workers have tried to go help and bring supplies and see and visit the children in the detention centers and the prisons, and they have not been allowed to. So ask yourself the question, is it really because you are for all life, or is it because you like the fact that it's a divisive issue, it's a divisive issue, it's a political football, like many people that I know say, I'm a single issue voter. They literally only care about one party is for women's choice and another party is against women's choice. And it's not even divided 100%. There's someone in either party who believe the opposite of the platform of the party. There are people in the Republican Party or the Trump Party now, the Trump Party, who are for women's right to choose, and there's people in the Democratic Party who are against the women's right to choose. It's not 100% down the line. Well, the bottom line is this. You can't love the embryo and hate the child. So I'm challenging all you folks out there who are so fervent and vociferous when it comes to this issue, and all rah rah rah, and I'm a Christian and I believe in life at the moment of conception. Okay, that's great. Well, I challenge you. Go sign up and get yourself on the waiting list to adopt and to foster, and start volunteering with orphanages or children who don't have families who want them. You can do that. You can do that today and prove that for you, life is precious and life matters, and there's a sanctity of life. Because right now, what we have are a whole lot of people that are talking out of both sides of their mouths. I love the embryo, and I don't give a shit about the kids who are locked up and in prison, sleeping on floors, or the women who are allegedly having their bodies mutilated so that they can't have any more children. You got a lot of people talking about how much they care about life, but have never done a damn thing for anyone other than their family members. Again, ask yourself the hard question, because most of the people I know don't even want to pay the taxes they're paying right now. They'll do anything to cut corners. One of my friends sat there while he's telling me that he can never support anyone who's for the woman's right to choose. In the same conversation was bragging about how he's hiding his money because he doesn't want to pay taxes. So clearly there's a big disparity between people who really care about their country, care about families, care about innocent children, and people who just want to talk. There's no in between. Again, it's not our business. Even people of faith, ministers, nuns have gone on the record, many people. If that's your belief, that's fine. But don't try to impose your belief on somebody else. If you would never have an abortion, good for you. Maybe you have the means. Maybe you have the family. Maybe you have the wherewithal to not have an abortion. Maybe you've never been raped. If that was your daughter and she was raped by some loser, some criminal, some person who was a terrible person with a history of maybe murdering or raping people, you ask yourself, would you want your daughter to still have that child, or your wife? Guess what? The answer is no. And stop bullshitting yourself. You're not about a woman's right to choose. What you're about is trying to impose yourself on other people and your views. So I'm going to wrap it up and leave you with those thoughts. You notice I'm wearing today, get up a little bit, my Relentless t-shirt by King Cat Hollywood, in honor, once again, of the late, great hero, icon, legend, and awesome patriot, a tremendous woman right here, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice. Stay on the lookout. We're going to be releasing information, once again, how you can get one of our custom shirts with the funds going to issues and causes that Justice Ginsburg held near and dear to her heart. And that'll be coming out in the next 2 days. I'm not always going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm always going to tell you the way it is. And this is Wiseguy Confidential signing off from Los Angeles, California. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Take care. God bless. Shout out to all the first responders. As always, avoid the COVID. I'm out.